Howie, Zaron, head coach of the undefeated 10-0 first place Langley Rams, heading into a first-round playoff matchup against the Okanagan Sun. And Howie, try and break down for me a bit of the vibe with your group right now. I mean, sort of mentally, physically, emotionally. Where's your team at heading into the postseason?
Well, physically, we were a little banged up heading into the last game of the year last year, so we sat a few guys, but I think we're full bore this weekend. I think the only question mark right now is Duncan, but everybody else is ready to go physically. Emotionally or mentally, whatever you want to call it, I think we're in a good place. The guys are confident, which this group's been confident all year, so there's no lack of that. But I think the best part about this group is they may be cocky, but at the same time, they're focused on their opponent. And, they don't take the sun lightly. And you know what? They're all about beating the Okanagan Sun and not looking ahead. So I think that's the most impressive part about our group right
now. 27 touchdowns from Andrew Pokernich. I was blown away, to be honest with you. I knew that he would get the one that he needed probably to break the BCFC rushing record. I've always maintained, and even from the years when Andrew Harris was doing it, that getting to Tristan Jones's total was going to be very, very, very challenging for any running back. Try and explain to me what that was like to witness and the kind of season that he had, CJFL history.
Well, I think the best thing about Pock is that he's a hard-working kid and he's a humble kid. So, whether you're an old lineman or a receiver, you wanted to go out there and get that record for him. I think the most impressive part about it is that, I think 26 of them are rushing and one was a catch, and also Pock's not he's not an Andrew Harris. I mean, well, nobody's an Andrew Harris, but he's not a breakaway guy like Andrew Harris was. I mean, Andrew could take one of the house from the 1 yard line, the other 1 yard line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, Pock is a punisher, and he's a hell of a running back and a hell of a young man, and you know what? We're very proud of him, and we were excited to get him all the records that he got that night.
I think my my old Hoggy teammates would probably be shaming me right now because you and I have talked about Pock a lot, and I don't even know that we've really broken down your offensive line. And we know there is no Pock, there is no record without what that group is doing.
Well, 3/5 of the All-Stars on O-line were from our team, so I mean that should speak volumes right there. And quite honestly, the other two starting guys, they're right up there as well. And this year we actually have probably 9 O-linemen that are good enough to start on most teams. So, obviously, we take pride in our O-line, and Coach Busher wouldn't let us not. You got to hear from him every night. So, I mean, so our O-line is well respected in our room. So you know what? Maybe some other guys forget about your O-line and this and that, but we certainly don't. And the other guy that deserves a lot of credit is our fullback, Dylan Cusker. We run obviously old style power I, and if you're running power I, it's fairly important to have a fullback, a good fullback. So all credit to Cusker and the O-line.
You talk about running power I. We don't see a lot of that in the CGFL, certainly not in Canadian football. And I know probably over the last, 3 seasons, we've seen teams just completely abandon that. And even if they do run 2 backs, it's in the shotgun with, flanking the quarterback like that. Was that a real cognizant decision that you wanted to run power I in your offense, or was it based on the personnel you had?
I think for me, I see a lot of coaches and a lot of teams try and outthink themselves. And, for me, if you can run the ball, you can set up the pass at any time. It could be 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, and you still got to worry about us running the ball. So, I mean, for me, it's all about the run, setting up the rest of the offense game plan. And with that is the power I. If you look at our play action game, it's huge. And that's all set up by the power run. So, I mean, for me, I know a lot of guys like to go to the fly and the RPO and the spread offense and all this stuff. But you know what? Maybe I'm just not as clever as everybody else, and I'll just stick to my own ways.
I mean, you guys should win this game this weekend. I don't think anybody's expecting you not to. I mean, let's be honest. So how do you approach that being the favorites and the fact that your opponent really has nothing to lose this weekend?
Well, I've heard a lot of teams say they should have won. So, I mean, that's definitely not our mindset at all, Dom. I mean, everybody outside of our room is calling for a win for us, but that group inside our locker room we got a different mindset than that. If we don't play sound football, the Okanagan Sun will come down here and they'll hang an L on us and they'll end our season. So we don't have that mindset. I mean, everybody outside of the room wants to talk about, the fact we're 10-0 and doing this and doing that. And you know what, rightfully so. But that's definitely not our mindset. Our mindset is we're looking to play against a very talented Sun team. I know they're not a great group on offense, but listen, man, they got some weapons. That Curry kid running the rock he's a handful, man. They got a big ass O-line and they're physical. And you know what? They got Connor Richard running that H back and whatever else he's doing. And whether that kid's playing defense, offense, or special teams this weekend, and I'm expecting them to be playing all three. You know what? There's another guy we need to stop. And defensively, you know what? They got a guy like Tyler Going where if you don't know where he is on the field, you're going to find him real quick. He'll be the guy making the tackle. So we got to pay attention to him. They've got a very physical D-line led by McCoy, and I think it's Holland, the interior kid, 43. Man, that kid's a beast. So, you know what? We got to be aware of all that stuff. And I know Duncan ripped them apart a little bit when they came down here, their back end. But I know a couple of those kids on the back end, and they're a group with pride, and we expect a better game from their back end on defense as well. And shoot, man, maybe their best offensive weapon is their kicker. A flick of the foot, that kid flips the field. And maybe it helps having Borum as its coach. I don't know. But, that kid's a secret weapon himself in kicking. So, for us, it's definitely not, hey, listen, we've got this game wrapped up. We don't even need to show up. Our mindset is, listen, man, these guys are coming down here. They're trying to take something away from us, and we're not going to let that happen. So if anybody thinks we're going to be an unfocused group or an overconfident group, they're sadly mistaken.
Howie, I appreciate the insight as always, my friend. Thank you, and best of luck this weekend.
All right. Thanks, Dom.
Awesome.